either you are working with my API or when you are working with the project also, you get the Swagger, right? Or some project has the Swagger or some Swagger does not have the Swagger. API team will provide you the URL and the object. Okay. But if you have the Swagger, first test it on the Swagger only if it is working. Okay. So this is our create API. No. What was that? Not this one, no?
Client is the
Yeah, yeah.
idea.
Create new employee. Okay. So here we need the role ID. So role ID is our foreign key, which we are going to get from this API. Okay. So you will have a drop down of role ID. So let's say role ID is 6. Okay. So from here only role ID should go. It should not be random, whatever you think. Role ID is 6. Then we need designation ID. So get all designation. Let's say 28 or 35 UI UX designer. Designation ID. Okay. Employee ID is primary key. So we have to set it as 0. Okay. This I am setting as empty. I don't want to provide the experience and the skill. Empty array I am passing. Let's click on execute. Okay. It is saying sequence contains more than one element. So I think something is unique and I didn't add the, what was unique? Email ID, let's say, contact number, username. See, it got created. Okay. So API is working fine. Now what you need to check if you are sending the correct role ID and the designation ID or not.
That I'm sending correct. Okay, I'll check.
Okay. Check like here what you are sending. Empty array you need to pass. If you are not passing this,
Yeah, yeah, I'm saying empty string there.
so it's an array, na? So you need empty array only. If you pass string, then it's a data mismatch. Okay, fine. So it should work. Anyone else having any doubt? Or at least started the project or not?
Started.
Started now.
Yeah.
Anyone have completed employee creation and the list? Every day try to complete at least 2 tasks, at least list and the create, right? Update and the delete you can do up next day. But at least 2 things you should have completed. Okay, fine. Let's start the what way that what was that? Unit testing. Okay. So first of all, what do we know about unit testing? Why do we need unit testing first? Why do we need unit testing? Anyone having any idea? Why do we need unit testing or what's the purpose of actually unit testing?
Whatever we write in the code, right?
Hmm.
It is returning some values or results
Hmm.
that we need to verify before getting to the production. That's why.
Okay. Any more reasons?
So, for example, if you have some functions, it
Hmm.
might be like not throwing any errors,
Hmm.
but the logic might not be correct. So, just in order to test that, if the output is expected, we need the unit testing to test the pieces of code.
Means you are saying, let's say in our component.ts, we have created some function. Okay. Inside that function, we have some logic and we will write the test case to check like if that function is working properly or not. Correct?
No, but the if the function is working as expected, it might work correctly, but
Hmm.
it might the logic might not work the expectation output is correct or not.
See. Mm, not correct. Okay.
For white box texting.
No, no. That is something else. This is test case. Unit testing means not unit testing. Test cases. Okay.
Okay.
Individual component and directive like working fine or not.
No. Okay. Let me give you an example. Then you can come up with the definition because whenever we talk about unit testing for the interview purpose, okay, the first question they will ask is like, why do you need a unit testing? This should be clear. Okay. And one more thing, don't try to learn unit testing so much. no one waste time learning test case. It just just because whenever any company get the project, right, we create a contract with the client. So in the contract we have written like your coverage should be 80% or 75, whatever. So just to fulfill that, we write the unit test cases. Okay. Nothing related to code. Your function might be doing something else, and you are just to cover that function, you are writing test cases something else. Okay. Same thing happen in every project. No one worries about unit testing that much. So that's why in interview also now they will just try to see the confidence. Like, are you able to write the unit testing or not? Okay. So see, how do you test your Angular application for the unit testing? What's the command?
ng test.
Ng test. Okay. So ng test. This is the command to run the test cases. So in Angular, we have Jasmine and Karma framework. Okay. Jasmine is like, how do we write the code unit test cases in Jasmine? And Karma is a framework which help you to run the test cases. Okay.
Test runner.
Test runner, you can say. It's just a framework which will help you to run the test cases. Okay. By using Jasmine, you actually write the test cases. Just like Jasmine, there is, what is that? Another thing?
Test.
No. Just like Jasmine, what is that?
Cypress.
Cypress is also there. Jest is also there. Okay. But even if you like, it's almost same, something are different. Okay. Now, so when I run the project, by default, like whenever you create the component, your test case file will be created, right? So let's say this is our unit test component. So this is our test case file. And in every basic test case will be like component is getting created or not. A basic test case will be over here. Okay. Now, before explaining all this, first I will explain you like, first you should understand what is unit testing. Okay. Let's say in this component, you have a function get sum. This function has two parameters, num1 data type number, num2 data type number. So we have we have a function which has two parameters over here. Okay. And this function is going to return the addition of num1 plus num2. Whatever the parameter this gets, it will return the addition of it. This is your function. Now you have to write a test case for this function. Okay. Now how do we write the test case? Okay. So here, just like it block is there, now one more test case we will write. It our test case name. What our test case name? Get sum should return addition. Okay. This is my test case name. Then your arrow function. Now here you have to actually write the logic of the test case. Okay. So here I'm creating a variable constant number1 is equal to 12. Constant number2 is equal to 14. Okay. Then what I will do, I will create one more variable, constant result is equal to, I will call, you can see I have an instance of my component, right? The unit testing component is over here. So I have created an instance of it. Means just a, we, either it is a component, but ultimately it's a class, na? So we have an instance of that class created over here. So component dot, see, it is suggesting the variable and the method. So we need to use this function, and I will be passing this two parameter over here. Number2. Now, what this function should do, if I pass the two parameter, it should, let's say if I'm passing 12 plus 14, right? Or let's say
Should be
7 or 5. Okay. So if I'm passing 7 or 5 to this function, so result should be 12, right? So that is your test case. So component dot get sum, sorry, expect result to be To be means whatever the value this variable has, we are checking if it is to be 12. Something is missing. Why it is saying error? Left side of the comma operator is
Sir, you wrote
unused.
if instead of it.
Okay. It. Okay. So consider this is your function and this is a test case for it. Now try to tell me the definition or why do we need the test case?
Sir, whether the expected result is working properly or not.
Yeah. Again,
Other developer change the logic of that
right?
get
See,
some function.
let's say you are working on this project. Okay. You written this function. Consider like it's a normal function, but let's say it's a big logic and you have something according to your project or business logic, you have written some logic. Okay. And that code is properly working. You have written the test case also according to the logic you have written inside this function. Let's say a new developer came. He doesn't understand the business logic and the project that much. And he tries to change something. Okay. You have written this function because you understand the business flow and the logic, right? Like that, you have written the test cases also. Okay. Let's try to run this first. Okay. It is already running now. Where is unit testing? See, this test case got success. Okay. If I pass over here, see the result of 7 and 5 is 12. But if I try to compare with 14, my test case will get failed because if I pass 7 and 5 to this function, the output will be 12. But here I'm comparing with 14. So my test case will fail. Why it's not failed? Yeah. See, it got failed. Expected was 12, but we are comparing with 14. Consider you are testing this function by providing some input. And whatever the logic you have over here, whatever the logic you have written, same thing you are replicating it over here. Getting it? Whatever the number of lines you have written, whatever the logic you have written, same number of logic and same number of lines you cover over here. It just, this is your original function and this is a description of that function. Like if I pass this value, this function should return this value. So we are checking if I pass 7 and 5 over here in this variable, when this function get executed with this two parameter, I'm going to get 12. So that I'm checking with 12. So whatever the function you have written, you are writing some test cases by providing some input that it should behave the same for this number of input I have passed. Okay. Now coming back to the example, what we were saying, let's say you created this function and you left the project or you moved to the other project and some new developer is handling that. And let's say he changed some logic over here. Okay. The function purpose was whatever the number you pass, it should return the sum of it. But let's say he has added one more plus into it. Now your function logic got changed. So now your test case will break. See, your test case got break because you change your business logic. This function was written because it was according to the business logic, our project logic. But let's say someone new came and it changed the logic. So if your test case fail, then he will get to know like that function was written because of something purpose. Then he will again check like if whatever the code I'm writing, is it correct or this is the wrong place where I'm writing the code, right? So that he will again check like, is there any alternate way to handle, let's say he got a defect and he tried to change this function. But let's say this function you are calling from multiple places. So for one defect, you should not change this function. Na? Consider a scenario. Let's say the new person is there and he got a defect. And for fixing that defect, he is trying to change the code over here. But this function is getting called from multiple places, not from the place where that defect is coming. So instead of writing this code over here, he can write that code in the another some function. Because this function might be used at multiple places. That's why we have written the proper test cases also. Getting it? So whatever the code we write, okay, either in component, either in service, either in pipe, wherever, what are the things we create, right? Whatever the code you write, functional code, okay? Function code you write, we just have to write the test cases for it so that we are explaining that this function, how this function is going to behave. It's like you are creating a documentation of this function, like how this function should execute, for what parameter, how this should work. So you are making your code explainable also, and you are securing your code from some modification also. Now clear? Why do we need the test cases? This is the original purpose of the writing test cases. See, it's not easy to understand very quickly. Okay. But try to understand it. The scenario what I have given. Try to think of it like that. You are working on your project. You have created all the logic and everything is there, right? But you want to bulletproof that code, whatever you have written. No one should come and immediately change something. Yeah, if it is requirement, like get some or whatever the logic is there, you need to change it. So you have to update your test case also like that. Let's say the defect, whatever that person got, he is able to see like there is no way that he can fix that defect from apart from this function. So he can change that also. But again, he had to change the logic over here also of the test case. Okay. So accidental code modification also we prevent by writing the test case. This is the main purpose. And sometimes like the project in product base, mostly it get properly handled. By checking the test cases, you can see how this function is going to behave. Okay. In product based only, they might follow that much. But in service based, we write the test case just to cover the number of lines we have written because we need that 80% or 70% code coverage. Okay. That's the purpose of unit test cases in service based companies. No one cares about what you have written it over here. No one will verify your test case also. But you need to write it so that your code will be covered. Understood the basic idea of writing test case first? Guys, clear or no?
Yes, sir.
Yes,
Okay.
sir.
So again, as I said, like don't try to learn everything from the test case, but I will try to help like how I write, just like I will try to explain you like how you should also write. Okay. So consider like this was a function which was having two parameter. So whatever this function has two parameters. So here you can see when I'm executing this, if I pass just one parameter, it will throw the error because this function needs two parameter, right? So I need to pass the two parameter to test this. Either you create this variable or directly pass the value also. One and the same thing. Correct? Correct or no? So you are replicating whatever the code you have written it over here inside this for this function, whatever the parameter you have, what logic you have written inside the function, everything you need to replicate over here. Okay. So see what we are doing. First, we will start from the top. So by default, you get this describe function. Okay. Now what is describe? So it's like a, what do we say?
Test suite, sir.
Sorry.
Test suite.
Combination,
Yeah, that
collection of the specification.
word might be test suite, but how do we explain it for
Where
understanding?
we can group all the
Collection of the specification like no.
That's just a technical definition. I'm saying how do we explain it so that everyone can understand. Consider describe is like for every class, we have one describe over here. Okay. So here we are saying for this component, we are writing the test case. So we will have a describe function over here. Again, like the technical term is test suite, means whatever things we are going to need to write the test case, we write it, means either your test case, your configuration, everything will be over here. Just like over here, we have the class. Just like that in test case, we have a describe function. And inside that, we write our test cases. Okay. So here you create some variable. So here you can see we have created a variable let component. And in this component, what we are storing? The class name of your unit, particular component, unit test component. Okay. Then what do we call fixture? Anyone know what is this? It's like we create an instance of the component, but it's a class, right? This is nothing but a class. So how we create an object of the class? So, but in our test case, we have to write this way. But it is again by default, it is there. No one is going to ask you like what is component mixer. Basic thing they will ask like what is before each, right? What is describe method? How wait, okay. So this will be by default. Okay. Now second is before each. So this is something before running each test case, this particular block will execute. Let's say this test case is getting executed. Before executing this case, this before block will execute. Again, this test case got executed. Again, this will going to execute. Before executing this will execute. So before each function will execute before all the test cases is going to execute. Let's say we have two test cases over here. So this before each function will execute 2 times. So whatever the variable you have, see these are variable. By default, it is undefined. So this component and the fixture. So we have to initialize this variable. So here we are initializing it. Okay. So if you don't have before each, so this thing you need to do inside every test case like this. See, if you don't have before each, in every test case, you need to initialize this variable. So instead of doing it in every test case, you are putting it in a before each function because this function gets executed before executing each test case. Clear? Just like before each, now we have after each also. Okay, this is also there. So this will execute once your test case got executed. After every test case got executed, your after each will execute. Clear? Getting idea? So before each block will execute before every test case, and after which will execute after every test case execution. Okay. Clear?
Yeah.
Okay. Let's try to change the function name. What we will say, let's create a variable. Okay. Let's say full name colon data type string is equal to by default I'm keeping empty. Okay. We have a variable. Let's say we have a function generate full name. Okay. Inside this function, let's say you have two parameter fname colon string lname colon string. Okay. Now here what I will do, I just need to create a full name and assign it to a variable. So this dot fname plus single quote plus lname. This is my function. How do we write the test case for this? Consider this function. How we have written this and consider this function. Now tell me how we write the test case. Anyone want to try? How we will write the test case for this function? If you have understood this, then you can try to write this.
We need to create two variables, sir.
Same, we can like create one result variable and like component dot get generate full name. We can give the values and we can expect the like full name to be this.
Right? See, here we were returning something from this function. So that's why we have stored the output of this into a variable and this we were comparing, right? Because this function was returning something. So that's why we have stored a result into a different variable. Okay. Now this, component dot full name. Okay. Let's execute the function first. Constant full name is equal to component dot generate full name. Here I'm passing Chetan and
But because we are
Govind.
not returning, so do you think like we need the variable?
we need to check it, na? Either what you can do, either you can store it into a variable, component dot full name. What it
No,
is
but
saying?
that's the thing, like that's not returning something. No, it's a void function.
Okay, yeah,
We,
it's a
we,
void function. Wait, type
co-
void is
we
not
need to
assignable
call
to
it.
type
There is
string.
something to call, right?
Wait. We can call directly. Then component expect. So here we are not returning this, right? So we are just executing this function. This we have stored into variable because this was returning something. This function is not returning anything. So we have just directly executed. Okay. If I execute this function by passing this value, what I will get? What will happen?
We'll expect the full name to be Chetan Jogi.
Right? So expect what we will expect with what we will compare component
Component dot
dot
full.
your variable
Full name.
dot what is that equal na equal Chetan space Jogi. Okay, let's
So
try
here
it.
2b will not work. I'm just asking.
2b and so many things are there which we can use. Let's
Okay.
see if this works or not. 2b is there to okay, it got failed. Why we got R3 HTTP client? Oh, so see, in some component that is I think what is this component? In proxy component, I have injected one service HTTP client, so it's breaking over there. Okay. Earlier it was not breaking because I had F over here. So when you add F over here, only first this component will get tested. Okay.
No, sir, it
Let's-
will get ignored.
No, F
Huh.
first.
Sorry.
X
Yes,
For
will
that
get
X,
ignored.
X I think it's
X
yes,
will
sir.
get ignored.
Yes,
First
sir.
means if it will execute that first. Get some should return. This got failed because we had one over here. Okay. So test case success. See, should generate full name correct. If I let's say change my logic little bit, if I don't have a space over here, let's see my function got broke. The expected value was this. Because we are in the test case we are comparing with this, but our logic is something else. We don't have in space in between. Got it? So a test case break. Understood? So whatever the code you have written it over here, you are just checking that over here again by passing some value and checking like if that whatever the output or whatever if the variable name is getting changed, like that we test. Getting the idea? So again, like to be equal, to be not equal to, so many things are there. To see, to be defined, to be null, to be falsy. Let's say your function is returning true or false. So you can write to be falsy or to be true, like that. If your function is returning none, so you can write to be null, to be true, to be truthy. Let's say from one function you are not returning something and you are not assigning a variable value. So let's say from a function again you are calling one more function only. Okay, let's try that. First of all, understood this? Understood or no? I know like those who are seeing for the first time or those who have not written the test case, it is hard. Trust me, for me also it have taken so much of time because it's very like what our mind, how we write the code, it is totally different to that. Right? Getting it or no? Shall I explain it again?
Yes. No.
Everyone is able to relate now?
Yes.
Try
Yes,
it yourself because unless you write now, you won't get it. Okay. Now let's try to create inside this function show full name. Okay. And here we will just do the console.log. And this dot full name. And this function I'm going to call after this. Okay. Now my test case won't fail. Okay. Like test case will, like say in your function, you have 15 lines are there, but you have just written one line only. You have just covered one line. So it is okay. Okay. Let's say in your function, you have 10 line, but here you have just written something 2 or 3 lines only. Still it will work. Inside this function, we have two things are happening. One, in this variable, we are assigning the value, and another function also we are triggering. But here we didn't write anything for this, but still your test case will fail. Whatever you write, it will only test those. It won't check like how many lines of code over here and how much code you have covered. It won't test like that. Whatever you have written it over here, it will just test that thing only. Understood? Understood or not? Let's say in your function you have 10 lines or 20 line, but in your test case you have just written 2 lines. There might be so many things happening in your function, but you have just written a test case for one thing only. Still your test case will success, because whatever you write over here, that will only going to test. It's not going to check the remaining lines. Understood? Okay. Now in this function, we are calling this one function also. After assigning the value, we are calling one function. So we need to write the test case for this also. So we can write, either we can write a separate function, let's write a separate test case instead of writing it over here. It should call show full name function. This is my test case name. Okay. Now here, what we will write, component dot, whenever I call this function with some parameter, okay, then expect component dot show full name function to be called, to have been called. Let's see if this works or not. No, it break. What is saying? Expected a spy but got a function. It expect a spy because this is a function. Expected a spy but got a function because we are checking to be called. Let's see what. Let's ask ChatGPT. I also don't know now. And again, every time like your project doesn't, I don't know, sure like you have the GitHub access, GitHub Copilot access or not, but everyone takes the help of AI only now to write the test case. Okay. That's why I said for the first time, no one waste any time to understand the test case. It just by using the help of internet or AI, we just write the test case and we submit that. Okay. Let's try. We need to create that spy something. So this is my function. These are my function. I need to write test case for this using Jasmine Angular. Okay, let's see. Same thing we have done, no? Show full name.
Spy on that, on the first
Okay,
line.
spy on. Spy on to have been called. Okay. So now spy on is something, let's say, how we say, it's like you have this function. Okay. So you are creating a mock kind of a mock function you are creating by using this Pion. Okay, let's see if it execute properly or not. Okay, so you can see now 4 calls successful. Okay. So whenever you are calling one function inside another function and you need to cover this line, so you have to create a Pion. One more way is also there. Instead of creating a Pion, one more way. One more way is there. Instead of Pion, how to write test case. Like this full name we have called.
But in the code, if you see, like in the up, like maybe in before each, they have created one spy. Yeah.
Here they have. This is for console, I think. Let me check my project. We call it sometimes like how do we create a dynamic? How do we read a dynamic object by using single quote? Just like that, also we can do something. Let me check if I find. Just a minute. Mhm. I don't know. I'm also not able to find. But normally, let's say you are calling a function inside a function. So we have to create a Pion of that other function. Then only we can cover that particular line. Okay. Like this, you create a Pion for the whatever the function you have, and then you can expect it to be executed. Okay. It's like you are invoking this function over here. And then you are saying like this function should be invoked properly or not. Understood? Got the basic idea, at least something.
Yes.
Yes, Chetan.
Okay. Let's try for our reactive form. Let's say reactive form module. User form, new form group. Let's say we have name, new form control, city. Reactive form is the hardest part in if your project is dealing with the reactive form, and if your client suddenly start saying like we need to write the test case, so reactive form is the ultimate. It will be a nightmare to write all the test cases of the reactive form function, because let's say this reactive form is there. From this function you are doing something, and from this function again you are calling one more function, and there also you are doing something with the reactive form. So if you are writing the test case of this now, whatever the function you are calling inside that, and again inside that function again also you are calling, you need to write whole thing wherever you are getting the reference of those form. You need to cover everything. Anyone have written test cases for reactive form?
Yeah, I have written, but from Google, like ChatGPT
But
only. But I don't think like 100% code was covered in that.
no, I'm not talking 100%. I'm saying, let's say in this function, you are doing some operation. Let's say you are setting the value of name. Okay. In this function. Again, you are calling one more function. Let's say generate full name from this function. And here also, again, you are setting something in the reactive form. So while writing the test case for this function, you need to cover this function also. Otherwise, this function test case won't execute.
So I have not covered like that much. Like maybe you can say in that case 20-30% of the code I have covered in terms of that.
But so if you are 80% criteria is there, na, so we have to cover everything then.
So how do they test like if it is 80% there or not?
We somewhere we get it. Wait, coverage folder will get created. Where it is? Wait, this watch command we need to run. npm run watch. No, not watch now. Something else is there. No, not this. What is that? ng test. Watch coverage or something is there. How do I see coverage in ng test? Some extra parameter we need to pass. Hyphen code coverage. Okay. If we pass this command, one file will be created where we can see how many lines are covered or not. Okay. See, coverage folder got created. Inside that, we will have this index.html file. Let's open that. Okay. So see, this is where you can see how much percentage this particular component test case got covered. Where is our unit test case? See, unit test case is 100% because if you see the unit test case component, we had two functions were there, right? So this we have covered already over here. If I remove this line, okay, sorry, if I remove this function, this test case, which means like we have this line 38 line number, right? We have removed the test case, so we are not covering this particular line. Okay, so see now. Currently it was 100%. Okay, it should reduce now. Not reduce. Let's try to open this. Why it is saying covered? See here you can see we got this one extra means it is covered. But we didn't cover this. Why it is saying then? Let me stop it and run it again.
Because when we are creating like calling generate full name, that function is also like getting called, na? Is it because of
No,
that?
but this is an extra line, na? See, whenever we talk about the coverage, whatever the lines you have written, everything you need to cover. This logic, this particular line, we have covered over here, right? This is
Right.
another line, na? So what is happening over in this line? We are calling a function. So we need to write like if this function got called or not. So that is the test case. Okay. Let's see now. Still it is showing the covered only. Let's try. This we didn't cover, na? Show full name. Why it is saying 1x, 1x, 1x? Do we need to do something else or what? Let's ask. In code coverage, I'm able to see on all lines 1x is getting added. Function which are not covered, that also green. Let's see. Some configuration might be needed, I think. Next functions are explicitly tested. Green means you want to test it. Usually means one of the following. Your function is being executed indirectly. You are not resetting the spice or test set. Uninstall and clear repository. Let's try adding one more function, or let's implement ng on init. Implements on init. And instead of this now, we will move this into another function also. And this function we will call in ng on init. Okay. Let's see if it shows that this line is covered or not. It is saying covered only, but why? Normally in project now, if this line is covered, so it will be in the green. The lines which are not covered, now it will be in the red. Okay. Like this structure will be, but I don't know why it is showing like everything is covered.
Can you create like a normal function like without ng on in it?
We have this normal function. Na? This, it is already there.
Can you like maybe comment that this dot show full name? Maybe try once.
Now it got 90%.
That's what I was saying. When you call that
Okay.
function, so inside this was getting called this dot show full name. That's
Hmm.
why it was showing there.
But let's say if we talk about this function, we didn't write the test case for covering this number of line, right?
Maybe because ng on it is getting called. I don't know. If you maybe not initialize it on ng on it, then I guess this will be also not.
This will be in the red. But it should
Yeah.
not be like that. How do I ask this now? What does green line means? This line was executed at least once during the test run. Partially covered, yellow. Not covered, C. Not covered. But in our case, the function which is not called, that is saying not covered. I need to check my configuration. What was the configuration? Let me find package.json. In our application, we have Zest. Code coverage. Watch true. Let's try watch true. What it does. Let's see. Okay, so like this only we find like how many lines are covered. Okay, when we don't have any work now, we try to find the component which are in red, and then we write the test case and try to make it in the green zone. Okay, so and overall, like here you can see like how many number of lines you have statements are covered, branches like function, how many lines are function. Again, this same thing we integrate with our Sonar also. There like some duplicate code, code smell. Let's say you have written a if code and you have not written the else code, so it will provide you a warning for that also. Whenever you write a if statement, there should be an else statement for that, because whatever you are doing in the if, vice versa should be there in the else. So that understanding it will take. Let's say you have created a variable with let and you have not changed that variable. So it will provide you a warning let instead of let, go for a constant. So those are coarse mail. So your output of this, again, Sonar also will provide you some issues. So a combination it will work, and you all those issues you will get it in the Solar.
And this gets green after 80% coverage, right?
This get creates after.
I'm saying the green is only like after 80%.
Yeah, I think.
Yeah.
No, it is still behaving the same. Okay. So in just we were seeing like whatever the lines we covered now, it was getting green, but here it is behaving something else. I think we need some configuration for that. Okay. Let's say now we have this a function where we are initializing a reactive form. Let's see if how we write the test case for this. How to write test case for this. Okay, we are just checking like it is initialized or not. See, what's the test case? First, we are checking like that particular function will execute. Then after this, we are checking that this form is not undefined or not. This form exists or not. Okay. Then we are checking individual control like this form component dot form contain this control or not to be true, and value to be empty or not. Getting it? This was your function. Inside this function, what you did, you initialize this form, initialize this variable with the reactive form. And while initializing, you have two control, name and the city. And you have initialized with empty value also, right? So your test case will be, first you will initialize this function. You will check like your form is initialized or not to be truthy. Then you will check if the form has these two controls or not. Once it is checked, then it will check the value is initialized with empty or not. So whatever we have written it over here, three things are happening. One, variable value is getting assigned. We are creating two control, and each two controls is we are assigning with empty value. So three things we are again writing the test case. Understood? So coming back to that same, like whatever you have written in your code, it's just a descriptive of something that you are writing in the test case. Able to relate? See, test case you can understand by just checking the references or the example only. It's not something which you can directly start learning. It's not that much easy, and it's so much complicated if you just try to learn it. In every project, for interview purpose, we just need to know the basic things. Okay. But for learning, we don't have to actually go through that. Just the basic thing, what you will means how do I say that most of the time we use the help of AI only. Now AI is there, so we take the help of AI. Or previously we used to take the reference from internet, like if this is my function, how do I cover it? Right? Previously also it was very struggle to find the proper test case. But now with the help of AI, it's very easy. But again, to write the test case also, you should understand the basic of test case, like what is the test case, why do we need to write the test case, what kind of things are there. So that's why in the interview they are checking like are you aware about the basic thing about the test cases or not. Okay, now see one more thing. In this component currently we have not injected any service. Okay, let's say I inject a http client in this private http client. Okay, why it is giving error? As soon as I add this a service into this component, now my test case will break for this particular component. What is the error I have got? No provider for HTTP client. Okay. So what we talk about this describe? What was this describe? Whatever we have it in your component, it's just a representation of that. We are making ready our test case. We are making it ready by checking whatever things we have it in our component, that we have to declare it over here. Okay. So now in our component, we have injected HTTP client. So in your component, whenever you are injecting some services, same thing you need to do it over here also. So here in provider array, you will inject your HTTP client also. Let's say. Still it is breaking. No provider for HTTP handler. HTTP handler is also needed. Okay, so now you can see our component got executed properly. So if your component has some services using, so all need to be registered over here in the provider section also. So whatever you are using over here, everything should be provided over here. Like this it works. Okay. So you will get, this is very common error, null injector. If you are using any service into your component, and if in your test case you have not included that, so it will throw the error. Okay. In case of HTTP client, just HTTP client is not enough. We have to add the HTTP handler also. But let's say if it is your service you have created, so adding that service is only sufficient. But it's HTTP client, so for HTTP client you need the HTTP handler also. But if it is your service you have injected, then only you add that service, that is enough. Now let's say you are doing API call over here, so you need the instance of HTTP client. So just like over here, let HTTP :HTTP client. Like this you create, then you inject it also somehow. Dependency injection, somehow we do it. Tomorrow we will again see the API call injection. Okay. So whatever happening in your component, everything should be over here. Like what are the services you have, you have to add it over here also. Okay. But at least this basic first thing what we have written it over here. This first function and the second function, this should be clear. If you understand this, then only API call and remaining things you will be able to understand. Okay. Clear? I know I am also not great at unit test cases, so I won't be at that much potential in understanding also and explaining also. I also use the AI only to write the test case. So whatever I know that I'm explaining. Okay. Because no one wastes time to learn just the test cases. Because even if you learn test case now with Jasmine and Karma, Jest is also there, Cypress is also there. How much you are going to learn? And this is not even that much useful also. Not in every project we have to write the test cases also. Okay. So we take a help of internet and we somehow write the test cases. That's the way. And basic questions we have to prepare when it comes to interview. What is describe? What is before each? What is after each? What is true? Let's say your function is returning true. So what you will write? To be true there, to be false, to be null, to be equal. Like that we write. Okay. Spy on, they will ask you spy on. The example we have seen, let's say inside a function you are calling another function, so we have to create a spy on of another function, then we can write to have been called, to have been executed, like that. Okay, like this. Clear?
Yeah.
Again we will see. I will try to replicate some more scenarios, but in one session you won't be able to get it. You also need to try, then only you will be able to understand it. Yeah. Anyone having any doubt related to project or this?
Sir,
Hmm.
in the previous versions, we have karma.config.js file.
In
previous versions,
Uh,
we have a karma.config.js file where we can
okay.
configure the
Now we don't.
code coverage
Okay.
threshold.
Now we don't have, I think. Yeah.
Then how can we configure the threshold value for the lines functions and all?
I also don't know. We need to check it. Previously, we used to have that, but now
Yes,
I
sir,
think we
but
don't have it.
don't have.
Here also, we don't have anything setting.
Can you repeat again what was the function, like a file name?
Karma.config.js.
Oh, okay.
Oh, where do we do that? In Angular.json, we do it?
No, sir, that is different file where we can configure the threshold, code coverage
Hmm.
threshold. Here in the angular.json, where we can write the command.
No. Here,
NG test.
some testing related things
Yes,
are
sir.
there, na?
Yes, sir. There we can ignore the files and all.
Hmm. TS config is there. Wait. TS config. No, this is TypeScript configuration file.
That is different, sir.
Yeah, I know. Like previously, we used to have it. I don't know. Like now, with the newer version, do we have to create it manually? Now, newer Angular version, Karma config is not there. So where to provide minimum value. Let's see. Angular JSON only it is saying inside test. Here we can pass in Angular.json only in option. Option. Property is not allowed. Where it was written? Option. Code coverage true. Same only, na? Why it is saying it not allowed? This is for testing only. Property is not allowed. What things are there? Code coverage is there. We can set it as true. Code coverage, Karma config. What value corrupt? String value. I think we can create another file and then we can pass it over here. The name of the configuration file. Okay, manually we can create, I think. Module export. Code coverage path we are passing, reporters. Let's see, where do we have that path? Okay, let me check. Like in new version, where do we keep it? Okay. Anyone? Anything related to project?
Yeah.
Hmm.
So when I am like creating any user from the
Swagger, it is working.
Swagger, it is working, but from like my
Can you share? Show me the payload. Something might be wrong.
no, like API is working fine. I'll show you what's the issue.
Okay, in the Get API, you are not getting it.
Yeah.
Okay, try to create one more time.
Yeah, like is it visible?
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah.
Show me the payload, okay?
Yeah, I'll show you. Mummy.
Form you have created or taken the help of a ChatGPT?
No, I've created myself.
Okay. Okay, open the network tab. Add a debugger before. Wait. Add a debugger in your service or component.
Okay, I've
No,
never
no, no.
used
Here only. Go to sources.
sources.
Open your component file. Control P.
How?
Control P.
Control P.
Write your component file. Component name. Click on that. Where is your function? Save function. Submit. Write event
Yeah.
65. Click on that. No, not like that. Click on that 65 number.
Is here?
Yeah. Click on that number. That is how you add the debugger. Click on it.
It's added.
Click on it.
I'll
Right
click.
click. Right
Sure.
click.
Then
Uh,
add script.
okay, this is your
Yeah,
Safari.
this is MacBook. No, it's MacBook, but Chrome only, but MacBook.
Chrome only, na? Why you are not able to click? Okay, let it be. Click on submit
Yeah,
now.
networks. Submit.
Show me the payload.
So employee created successfully. Payload is this.
Wait. Designation ID is 6 and role ID is 29.
Yeah.
Let me check the database. Check the gate API on the Swagger.
So Get API, I already have it here, like on my
मीटिंग चालू होती मगाशी.
here. The thing is, I'm not getting it.
Wait.
Chetan, in Swagger, we checked actually, we were able to get the success call, but data is null.
Yeah, data is not exactly same with me.
Let me check the database. Just a minute. What was that project? I have the join with role and designation. That's it. Two things we have. ERM employee. What was the name you have given right now?
Aniket, I guess.
In the table, I have got the data, but why it is not visible over there? Let me share one more time. Are you able to see? See, this
Yeah.
is the record, I think. Let's see, do we have date? Not date.
No, we don't have any date in that.
Try it one more time. You have the form open now. Just change
Yeah,
the
yeah.
name. Just change the name and hit submit again.
Okay. So you are saying me to create a new record, right?
No, you have the form open now already, the original.
Yeah. So if you see that 1113, right? So yeah, I created that as well, but in the get API, I'm not seeing that 1113. Yeah.
No, just now try to create it. I just need to check if it is coming over here or
Okay.
not.
Wait.
Just change the name and hit it, save again. Some with different name. But why it is not coming? Designation ID is there. Role ID is there. 6 and 29. Role and designation.
Check one with Rahul. You might have received.
Yeah, I have received it.
Let me check on the get API again.
So
Yeah, on the
role,
get API, I'm not getting it.
no.
No.
What code I have written in Gate API? Simple thing. Only I have written the join on role table and the designation table. So role ID is equal to role ID and emp.designation is equal to designation.designation ID. Let's check. So let's say designation ID is 13. Now we have to check the designation table. 13. Wait. 13 is not their role. See? No. Designation ID you are passing 13. Correct? See.
Yeah.
And in the designation table, I don't have a record with ID 13.
Maybe I mismatched the roles and
And
designation ID or what. Let me
30,
check.
I have it over here, designation. So I think you are sending it wrong. In
Yeah,
designation, you are passing the role, and in role, you are passing the
maybe.
designation.
Yeah. I
That's
need to
why,
check.
because I have a join, na. So how that matching won't happen. Okay.
Okay.
So you are passing something wrong in your object. Check the
Let
NG
me
model,
check.
what you have binded over there.
Yeah, let me check.
Okay. Because APIs are working, almost everything. Okay. Fine. Anyone having any issue in the project?
Yeah, so for example, when we want to edit it, so in the get API, we are getting a very limited information. So we need to like call other API to like
Yes.
edit.
We have one more API, na? That
Okay.
is get employee by employee ID, the bottom one. There you
Okay.
will pass the employee ID and then you will get the whole information. That's why I
Okay.
told you like have a separate component for form.
Mhm.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Anyone else having
So
any
what,
issue?
what will be our like next step? Because we have like created the like
Once
form.
employee is created, next thing will be you can create the client.
Okay.
Okay. Once those who are done with the employee creation, they can move with the client creation.
चेतन
Yeah.
अभिषेक दिस साइड
बोलो.
लाइक आपने वो इनिशियलाइज फॉर्म वाला कब बनाया था एम्प्लॉय ऑनबोर्डिंग में वो मुझे पता नहीं है कब बन मतलब वैसे शायद उससे मतलब उसका रेफरेंस मैं ले सकता हूँ मतलब वो वैसा ही है
नहीं वैसा मत पकड़ो ना. साथ सिंपल टेम्पलेट फॉर्म से करो अभिषेक. कॉम्प्लिकेट मत करो. पहले टेम्पलेट फॉर्म से ही करो. ओके. रिएक्टिव फॉर्म पे मत जाओ. सिंपल
ना
टेम्पलेट
ना
फॉर्म
मैं
करो.
रिएक्टिव ऐसी कोई ऐसा कोई रिएक्टिव फॉर्म समझना ऐसा कुछ नहीं है सर वैसे कोई बात नहीं है मैं वो
इनिशियलाइज
बात
मतलब
नहीं
क्या बोल
है
रहे हो? इनिशियलाइज मतलब
इनिशियलाइज फॉर्म करके एक बना रखा है आपने मतलब वो जो एम्प्लॉय ऑनबोर्डिंग वाले प्रोजेक्ट है ना उसमें इनिशियलाइज फॉर्म है वो जो
रिएक्टिव
पूरा
फॉर्म होगा.
टेम्पलेट
नहीं
हाँ
रिएक्टिव
हाँ
फॉर्म होगा
बिल्कुल
तभी
रिएक्टिव
इनिशियलाइज करते हैं अपन. टेम्पलेट को इनिशियलाइज नहीं करते
हाँ
ना नॉर्मली.
हाँ तो मैं तो रिएक्टिव का ही बोल रहा हूँ
हाँ.
तो वो किस वीडियो में बनाया था वो मेरे को देखना है वीडियो मतलब वो कब बनाया था वो
यही अपन ने अभी जो किया ना यहाँ पे टेस्ट केस के टाइम पे तो वही किया अपन ने. अपन एक फंक्शन बनाते. वेट.
वो तो ठीक है पर आपने अभी उसमें पुश कर रखा है ना मतलब एम्प्लॉय ऑनबोर्डिंग के गिटअप पेज
दो
में
ही
पुश कर
प्रोजेक्ट है ना
रखा है
अपने. दो ही प्रोजेक्ट है ना. कौन से कंपोनेंट में है?
आप एम्प्लॉय ऑनबोर्डिंग वाला
न्यू
खोलो एक
एम्प्लॉय
बार
वाला कंपोनेंट होगा.
हाँ हाँ बिल्कुल तो वो कब बनाया था वो फंक्शन और
रिकॉर्डिंग
वो
बोल रहे
सब
हो
कब
क्या?
बनाए थे हाँ
अब वो कैसे याद रहेगा मुझे? देखना पड़ेगा.
क्योंकि वो शायद मुझे मिल नहीं रहा है वो मुझे कब बना दिया वो
पता नहीं यार मुझे भी याद नहीं आ रहा कब बनाया था तो.
क्योंकि दो ही वीडियो है वो तो, एक मास्टर का, एक और, एक दो ही है
नहीं नहीं,
उस
उसके
एम्प्लॉय से
पहले ही किया
रिलेटेड।
था अपन ने, बहुत पहले किया था।
हाँ
मास्टर
तो
का
वो
तो अभी
मुझे
किया
मिलने,
था।
नहीं दो ही हैं। एक बार तो आपने एआई से वो जो ऑब्जेक्ट से बनाने का फॉर्म क्रिएट किया था, ठीक है।
हम्म।
उसके अलावा एक मास्टर है, और उसके अलावा एक और वीडियो है। बस तीन ही है एम्प्लॉय प्रोजेक्ट से रिलेटेड।
हम्म, कभी मैंने डायनामिक फॉर्म पढ़ाया होगा, तब बताया होगा, डायनामिक वैलिडेशन या ऐसा कुछ,
तो वो
क्योंकि
ऐसे
प्रोजेक्ट
बड़ा
में ही किया था।
बना, मतलब सिंगल प्रोजेक्ट, मतलब ऐसे टॉपिक वाइज करके आपने पुश कर दिया था क्या? मतलब बताया नहीं क्या? मतलब इनमें तो समझ में नहीं आ रहा।
नहीं नहीं, ठीक है ना, वो कुछ भी रहने दो। ये देखो अपन क्या करते हैं, ये फंक्शन ऐसा बनाते हैं, और
नहीं,
ये
आप एक
अपन,
एम्प्लॉय ऑनबोर्डिंग वाला खोलो एक बार।
1 मिनट।
हो रहा।
हम्म, ये बोल रहे हो ना?
हाँ, ये आपने फिर कॉल कहाँ कर रखा है मतलब?
कंस्ट्रक्टर पे।
कंस्ट्रक्टर पे? मतलब फिर सबमिट करने के लिए मतलब क्या है फिर? मेरे को समझ में नहीं आ रहा, फॉर्म सबमिट करने के लिए क्या है?
मतलब फॉर्म सबमिट करने के लिए अपन वो फॉर्म की वैल्यू उठाते हैं ना, दिस डॉट
हाँ
एम्प्लॉय
हाँ,
फॉर्म डॉट
लेकिन
वैल्यू।
उसको सबमिट कैसे कर रहे हो फिर?
बटन के क्लिक पे अपन ये फंक्शन कॉल कर रहे हैं। ये कॉल सबमिट किया नहीं होगा मैंने इसमें, कमेंटेड है ना कोड, मतलब किया नहीं होगा। ये जो फंक्शन बटन है ना, इस बटन के क्लिक पे तुम ये फंक्शन कॉल करोगे, और यहाँ पे तुम्हारी फॉर्म की वैल्यू उठाओगे, तो तुम्हारे पूरे फॉर्म का ऑब्जेक्ट मिल जाता है यहाँ पे।
हाँ, ऐसे ही कर रहा हूँ मैं भी।
हाँ, ऐसे ही करना है तो
मैं
फिर।
इसको समझ नहीं पाया था अब एकदम, मतलब इसका वीडियो मुझे देखना है कि भाई क्या।
दूसरा कोई भेजता हूँ मैं, ठीक है।
क्या
ओके, एनीवन एल्स हैविंग
Hello,
एनी डाउट?
Chetan.
यस संदीप।
Yeah, I'm not getting data, farm data, and error method go, the data go into error method.
कैन यू शेयर?
1 minute. Is my screen visible?
वेट
Huh?
वेट वेट, इट्स कमिंग।